Hi there and welcome back. I hope that you've been enjoying exploring some of the digital materials that we've got for you here and also the physical materials that you can view and download from the European SchoolNet Academy pages on the Games-Based Learning course. This is Module 1, as you already know, and we're on to the third unit of Module 1 now, How do we learn with games? I guess the important thing to say here is that one of the great things about games is that they're competitive, and there's nothing wrong with a bit of competition in schools. The problem with it is, of course, is that the good thing about computer games is that they're competitive, but also in a non-threatening way. And there's something about that that actually encourages people to learn rather than scares them off the learning experience. Perhaps it would be better if I gave you an example. In one of the examples that we'll mention later on is a project that was run by the Consularium, the former Scottish Centre for Games-Based Learning, and they were looking at the impact of brain training on mental maths. One of the videos on the case study, which you can go away and you can view online, shows a little boy being able to do 20 math sums in under 10 seconds. It really was quite remarkable. But the interesting thing about this is that the little boy normally wouldn't have been very keen to do his math sums on a piece of paper because he might be embarrassed if he got them wrong. And there's something about that kind of competitive, non-threatening nature of the video game which made him want to come back and to improve, but at the same time he wasn't embarrassed by it. And I think we've got a lot to learn from games from this into the classroom. Why did he do this? Well, one of the reasons that he did it is he wanted to please his classroom teacher, but not be embarrassed amongst his friends. But also, we think as well that the little boy started to build up a relationship between himself and the game character, in this case, Professor Kawashima. And we know, again, from early years education, that it's not unusual for young children to build up relationships with inanimate objects, for example, a teddy bear. And of course, all that was happening in this case is it was taken into the domain of the child, and he was building up a relationship with this electronic character. It really is interesting and fascinating stuff. The other interesting thing about games is that they're highly culturally relevant. I don't think that you'll find many young people across Europe that aren't interested in computer games. They might not be games for an Xbox or a PlayStation, but they might just be social games or games that are linked to apps on their mobile phones. Many of these, of course, are freemium, and we'll come back to that in Module 6. So technology, and in particular games, is highly culturally relevant at the moment. And if we can position the games in the classroom so children buy into it, then they can be used as very, very powerful agents for learning and teaching. The other great thing about games is they speak a common language. Now, I'm pretty sure that if you're watching this video and English isn't your first language, you'll have seen a lot of very, very badly dubbed English films. The thing about a computer game is I've never seen a badly dubbed one. In fact, computer games are produced professionally in just about every single country, of the world, and they're easily animated to avoid those language barriers. There's something about computer games which are a common language across children in Europe and indeed further across the world. And I can think of a real life example of this that impacted on me back in 2010 when I took a group of young people from my school in Edinburgh over to Alaska, and we canoed a river called the Noatak. And at the end of this 14-day canoe journey, we landed our canoes on the beach ready to be flown out, and the young people that I was with also were speaking to the young people that are in the Inuit village, and they were chatting away and they were talking about different experiences, and within about 30 minutes they'd swapped their Xbox and Facebook IDs, and I know for a fact that they still keep in contact electronically because what a powerful learning experience they went through. All right? But at the same time, the reason they were able to do that is because of the power of the video game and the power of other social networks, for example, Facebook. And of course, everything that I'm saying here, is a little bit common sense, isn't it? Because we know that games do unite people. It's why the Commonwealth Games that we've just had here in Scotland in 2014 were so important. It's why the Olympic Games that were in Russia last year and in London before that were so important. And of course, events like the World Cup. Big sporting events, big game events bring people together. And I think there's absolutely no reason at all why computer games couldn't start to bring young people together in the third millennium. And let's face it, if we start to use games as a context for discussion, hopefully good discussion will help us all become a little bit better neighbours and hopefully reduce conflict in the future as well.